Hello, hello. Welcome to my video series on bullying, courage, body respect. So I am going to be reading, I'm just kind of jumping right in. I am going to be reading from over here a little bit because this is a really important conversation and I want to make sure that the important things I want to cover are actually covered and that I don't end up on a tangent. So I am just going to give it a couple of minutes to let the notification go out. If you're watching this on the replay, please type in #replay. If you don't mind, tell me where you are watching from and why you wanted to tune into this conversation. To get started, just because I've been feeling called to work with these cards, I'm going to pull a card to get things started. Also, if you have kids in the room, oh, I see someone messaging now. If you have kids in the room or sensitive ears, anyone who might be negatively affected by this or who it's just not appropriate for them to be listening to this topic, please put on headphones or do whatever you have to do to make sure that you can listen to this without it being a problem for anyone else. All right, so I'm just gonna start by seeing what card comes. Oh. So hello, how are you? So the card is trust. Surrender to trust. Trust yourself and your decisions. Don't be swayed by other people's strong opinions about what to do. This is kind of tying into this, right? Take action and be confident that you have chosen the right path. And that's a big thing with bullying, right? We can get knocked off our path because someone might not like your path. Someone thinks you should be following their path or that you should be walking your path differently. Everyone has opinions, right? We can't stop people from having opinions about us, our lives. We don't control other people's minds. But what can we do? We can control whether or not we're going to take what other people say and let it run our lives. I did for a long time. It wasn't until I was well into my 30s that I had the confidence to really stand up and just say, listen, this is who I am. I'm not for everyone. And if I'm not for you, that's okay. You don't get to disrespect me just because I'm not like your person. And I don't disrespect you just because maybe you're not my flavor. But I've realized I can't control other people. I can't stop anyone from thinking a certain thing about me or saying a certain thing about me. But what I can control is what am I going to do with that information? Am I going to absorb it like a sponge and say, yep, they're right. I should be doing things differently. I should look differently. I'm wrong. No, I'm going to say it's okay. If that's your opinion, that's fine. But at the end of the day, this is my life. This is your life. You've got to be the one in control because we can go around blaming other people for why we don't wear a certain type of clothing or why we don't want to show up on camera or why we don't want to share our photos. But at some point, we got to take the reins back in our own hands. I can blame all kinds of things, society at large, and say, well, they tell me I'm too fat and I'm too old, which I'm going to get into that in a minute. That's why I'm having this conversation. But I have the empowerment. I have the control in saying, it's okay if you feel that way. I can't control your feelings or your thoughts, but I can reject those. I can say, I don't accept that as my truth. And I don't have to make your truth my truth. I don't have to walk your path just because that looks good to you. I don't have to have the body you think I should have. All I've got to do is take control of my own life to the best of my ability. Hello. Hey, Sheila. Hello. How are you both today? Sorry, my dogs have decided to start the parade, but this is how it goes. Okay, so for anyone who might be watching who doesn't know who I am, my name is Jael Medeiros. I advocate for body respect for all bodies, for all people. Respect in general. Respect, like Lauryn Hill says, is just the minimum. That's what we owe each other on a base level. I don't have to like, what you like. You don't have to like what I like. You don't have to find me attractive to treat me with respect, and vice versa. I do use photography and dance to empower myself and try to help other people step into their power around their body and their sensuality and their creativity in a way that is unique and authentic to them. Because I feel like there's just too much cookie cutter in this society where you're supposed to look and dance and move and dress just like everybody else until we just look all the same, we blend. And that's just not what I stand for. I stand for you being an individual and deciding for yourself what you like and what you don't like. I will always choose being authentic over being popular. Always. And sometimes that does come with mocking and bullying. And that's fine. I can handle it. Why I wanted to make this series, it's because there are people out there who are not in that headspace. There are people out there as young as this taking their own lives because they've been bullied. That's why I'm here. Because at this point, I don't care if you think I'm ugly, you think I'm fat, you think I'm too old, you don't think I should be taking so many photos of myself, you don't think I should be posting dance videos because I have a husband. I don't care. Like, I care more about when I look back on my life saying I did what I wanted to do and I didn't let other people and their negativity or whatever run me down or rob me of the life I could have lived and the experiences I could have had. How many people out there have really important things to say, but won't get on camera because they're so worried about how they look and how they'll be perceived. And it's robbing the world of important information. It's robbing you of the chance to show up and say the things and do the things. And my dog, I guess she has a lot to say as well. Freedom, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, that's what empowerment to me is. It's having the freedom, the confidence to say, you know what, I am free to be me. You don't have to co-sign on it, right? Like, I don't need anyone to co-sign on me being who I am is good enough for me. Like, I like who I am. I'm not perfect at all, but I like who I am. And nobody close to me, certainly no stranger on the internet. Babe, I'm sorry, it's a little out of control at this point, but like, she hasn't made one sound all day. Oh, you want to come over here and say hello? Yeah. You know how it goes. If you're a pet parent, you know how it goes. But that to me is what power really is. It's being able to make choices for yourself that are based on your own desires, what's really aligned for you. How many people don't wear the bikini or the bathing suit or even get in the water? Why? Because they're afraid of what someone's going to say. How many people don't, take the selfies, don't do the thing because they're worried they don't look good enough or someone else won't think they're good enough. And it's just sad to think of how much we miss out on because of this fear of being rejected or even bullied. But to me, power is stepping up and saying, yes, when you put yourself out there, it is likely someone's not going to like who you are or how you present yourself or how you look or what you do. But does that matter enough to miss out on this thing you want to do? And okay, so I this is why I have notes, because now I'm already taking us deep into the forest on a tangent. All these dogs, I can't tell you. The timing is like, they don't make a peep. I even have to go in the other room. Are they still here? Silence all day. I go, oh, I'm going to go live now. And then it's, that's just how it goes. We can be free to live how we want to live. It just comes with the unfortunate sometimes repercussion of you're taking that chance. You will be mocked. You will be misunderstood. You will be bullied. I've been all of those things, but I continue to show up. As you see, nothing has stopped me from posting videos and pictures online, like, constantly. Like, I've shown up in everything from a bathrobe and messy hair straight from bed to being naked with just a blanket wrapped around me and a tiara and some pearls. Don't ask me why. I don't know. It just felt right that day, so I did it. To a ball gown and my Regina Wolf wig, if you know, you know. Unfortunately, we care about others' opinions when we're young. We care about them as adults too. We do. I mean, I don't fully believe anyone who's like, I literally don't give a shit at all. Like not even 1%. I don't give a shit enough that it allows me to show up and do what I want to do most of the time. But there are times I find myself still struggling, and maybe here and there still missing out on something. And I'm going to get into that actually if I can just get through my introduction notes. I'll get to the science of why we care. Why do we care what other people think? And it's a real thing, and I'm going to get into it, and I invite you to do your own research on it if you like. All right, so in this 2-week series, I'll be discussing bullying, body respect, and courage. I will share personal stories and thoughts on the topic, and I'll also be interviewing several people, including a couple of people who are here right now, on their experiences, because we need a collective. We need a community of voices, not just mine. I can only reach who I can reach. I can only say what I know. You know things I don't. You have perspectives that I don't. And the more of us getting on the stage and coming together and sharing our stories and our voices, the more of an impact we're going to have. So I applaud the people who are brave enough to show up, share their stories, stand up for other people, live life on their terms. I applaud you. This is a type of material that can get quite triggering. So here is your massive trigger warning. I am going to be talking about things that are disturbing, and very, very triggering. And I care about your experience here. I don't want you to leave this series feeling worse than when you walked in. That's not to say that this probably won't stir up some stuff that's uncomfortable, but there's a difference between that's productive. It brings it up so you can work through it, and being like traumatized. So this is your trigger warning. Please check in with yourself and be sure that you're in a good headspace to hear this. Make sure you're as resourced as you possibly can be. If this is not right for you, if at some point you're like, you know what, this is too much, please take care of yourself first and foremost. I will be talking about domestic violence, which is super triggering again. I don't want to have to say trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning every few paragraphs. So just know that we will be getting into everything from my experience being bullied at school to actual domestic violence. So there's your heads up. Viewer discretion is advised. I will be posting something relevant to the series every day for 2 weeks, although it may go longer. I don't know. It depends on how many people ask to be interviewed, and just what naturally comes up. I will not be live every day because this is a heavy subject, and there'll be times I simply will share a link to something else. I'm sorry that my dogs there is no end to the noise. I will be sharing some pre-recorded videos because sometimes this gets heavy for me too. You know, I've been doing a lot of research on bullying and listening to stories, and at times it is really difficult, and I find myself getting emotional. If you'd like to be interviewed, if you have any questions, you want to talk about something anonymously, let's say that, please reach out. I am here. Interviews will be done with 5 to 10 questions, depending on how long the answers are and how much time we need to get through them. I've already got some people. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to take my dog out. I'll take you with me. I'm just going to open the door because this will be relentless the entire conversation. I've had some people say they'd like to be interviewed, but they're nervous. Please just know, I'm nervous too. I get nervous too. Sometimes I feel very confident coming on camera and just saying my things. And sometimes, today, I'm dealing with a lot of anxiety, and it's not easy for me to show up and have this conversation. But I know it's important, and I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to, work through the uncomfortable feeling because I feel it's worth it. to have this conversation. Silence is not going to solve the problem. Silence only breeds more shame. And I can speak of that from experience. It causes a lot of isolation and a lot of shame. So I am going to speak freely about my stories. I have talked a little about them in the past, but I've usually held back out of fear of hurting other people, simply for telling the truth. But that has left me carrying shame. That's not my burden to carry. So I will be talking freely, and I encourage you to, if you can, find it within you, the courage in your own way to share your story or be ears for someone else's story. We all have a part to play. We all have a part to play. So this is my story of trauma to triumph, because I do consider it quite triumphant. To go from where I was to where I am now was quite the journey. And there was a time I never could have imagined. I would have laughed in your face if you told me when I was going through the dark stuff that I would end up with a husband who adores me, accepts me just the way I am, that I would be an advocate for like body respect, that I would be showing up, making poll videos and posting all these photos of myself. It was a long journey, but that's why I'm here. I want to share what I've learned. I want to let you know you can tell your story. You don't have anything to be ashamed of. If someone bullied you or mistreated you, that's not your shame to carry. So I do want to quickly mention a couple of songs in case you want to check them out. There's 4 songs I really like to turn to when I start getting into this type of conversation or this energy and these memories. One of them is Rise by Katy Perry. One of them is Conversations with My 13-Year-Old Self by Pink. A lot of you like Pink, but probably have not heard of that one. And Blessed by Team Fearless. And last, Praying by Kesha. Those are just 4 songs. I'm throwing them out there. If you want to check them out, great. Let me know if you did and if you like them. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I was like, I'm going to type out what I want to talk about. So I know today I'm not getting into the super heavy stuff. But definitely, thank you for that. What I would like for you to do, if you don't mind doing this, is to find a video online, a TED Talk, something on the subject of bullying that you find valuable and beneficial, and share it on your timeline. Get the conversation going with your people, your community, your family, your children, your coworkers. Again, I can only reach so many people. So I do ask that you just take a few minutes today. And if you're like, I don't even know where to begin, I'll send you a link that you can share out if you like. But I do ask that it only takes a minute and it could really help. And if you can, get other people to share it. That's, like I said, the more of us out there doing, this important work, the better, We need more advocates. We need more allies. I'll speak for myself. I want to create a world where people are free to be who they are without fear of reparation. I want it to be a safe place for generations to come. I want the next generation to have an easier time than this one does, than mine did. A world where a kid doesn't fear going to school, employees don't fear being bullied by a boss, where no one's in fear of their partner degrading them or worse, where people don't feel like ending it all because it feels so hopeless and they feel helpless. So let's band together and create the world that we want to live in. I can't do it alone. Together we can do just that. And to be perfectly honest, it's very likely at some point in these upcoming videos, I will cry. I did cry yesterday doing research and hearing the torment in a mother's voice when she gave a speech about her daughter ending her own life after being bullied. And hearing kids talk about how they feel bad about themselves. They're not even in junior high. They're already worried about being too fat. I mean, and I'm not going to hold back. If I cry, I cry. There's nothing wrong with crying. There's nothing wrong with being human, who feels things and expresses things. We don't need to bury or sugarcoat things. And I invite you to feel whatever you feel and let that be okay. Let whatever comes up come up. It's okay. We're humans. We don't have to always be happy. It's okay to cry. It's not a shameful thing to cry. It's healthy to release emotion. So if you need to go for a walk to clear your head, whatever you're going to need to do to care for yourself, like who are you going to talk to? What are you going to turn to if this does get triggering for you? All these videos will be up for replay, so you don't have to worry. Like if it gets too long, you can watch the second half later. If it gets too heavy, put it down for now. Pick it up when you feel ready. But yeah, this is meant to benefit people, not just stress you, okay? So take care of yourself. Only you know what your limit is and what your resources are. I do recommend having a journal or a notebook and do some free writing. This is where you just write. You're not writing a masterpiece. You're not publishing this. You're just letting this be a safe space to say whatever you want, however you want. That's the beauty of it. It is okay to cry, and it's a release. I wish more people were able to check in with their emotional center. Exactly. If I cry, I cry. That's just something I know is a possibility if I'm going live. Because when I do a pre-recorded, I can stop and collect myself. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, wait, everyone, for 10 minutes while I, recenter. So it is a possibility. And I say that because I want to invite you to feel whatever you feel and not make it wrong. And, especially if you have kids, they never see you cry. It kind of almost sends a message, it's not okay to cry. And I'm not saying you have to make a point to go and cry in front of people, but if it naturally happens, you don't have to make it this shameful thing. So no one ever has to see what you write, of course. If you feel better about doing voice notes, do that, but give yourself the chance to just flow. You might have an epiphany. You might realize you need to do some work around a certain area. You might realize you need to apologize to someone. I know I did. When I thought about it, this wasn't recent. This was like a year ago, but I was thinking about someone who I treated very poorly. And I reached out and I apologized. And as I think Nikki had mentioned at one point, you might want to weigh in on that. This person and I were still friends. That's why I reached out, because we were still talking. I didn't just reach out to someone I haven't talked to in 10 years. You know what I mean? But the point is, let whatever comes up come up. You might be surprised and you might feel a lot lighter after you've given yourself this chance to just purge yourself of what it is that's inside. I think that's all right. So I want to get into this really important point. I don't actually know. If anyone is still watching, if you could let me know, do you want me to just end it here, or would you like me to say this last thing? I can make that a video for tomorrow if this is too long already. And if I don't see a response, I think I'll just go ahead and read it. Hi. Okay. So this is where I was talking earlier about why do we care what people think? It's actually built into our evolution, into our biology, to care, to want people to like us and accept us. And I'm going to just read from here so I don't take you on a 3-hour tour that turns into Gilligan's Island where you're never seen again. All right, so the reason is there's safety in numbers. We know this as a fact. You're much less likely, say, walking down the street at night. If you got 30 people with you, you're much less likely to get jumped than if you have one person or nobody with you, right? So there is safety in numbers. And you have to remember, our brain was wired from a time long before the life we know now, where people had to hunt for food, gather things, work together as a community, or perish. We are a lot more separated now than we've ever been. We don't really rely on people the way we used to. We have resources at our fingertips, a lot of us. But anyway, it's one of the reasons people fear being rejected. It's literally wired into us because it meant survival. And in some ways, it still does. It literally comes down, your brain thinks of people accepting you and taking you into their tribe as survival. So it's no wonder that no matter how hard we fight it to be I don't care at all what anybody thinks, it is wired into us to care a little bit. So studies show that those with more connections are less likely to be depressed, are usually healthier, happier, live longer, have more resources during difficult times. Like right now, if something happened to my husband, I have so few meaningful connections that would really come into my life and bring like resources and comfort during that time. But it'd be a whole different story if I had a bunch of aunts and uncles and cousins and this huge group of people. You know that if something goes wrong, you've got a big band of people that will come around you and pool resources and help you to the best of their ability. There is a certain level of security in that. And for instance, think about someone who loses their job and now they're losing their home. If someone were to end up in the situation where they had no place to live, it's likely one of their connections would let them stay at their place. I know I've got people who, if they told me tonight I have got no place to sleep, I would open my door and they would have a place to sleep because they have a connection. But imagine that person who doesn't. Where do they go? Who helps them? So it's no wonder we fear being rejected by other people. To our primitive brain, and we do still have the amygdala part of our brain, our primitive thinking part of the brain. It's not the frontal cortex. It's not the modern day brain thinking. It's the part that still thinks about sleep, food, sex, basic survival. So to our primitive brain, being rejected is being kicked out of the pack. Some of us like to brag about being a lone wolf, but guess what? Lone wolves don't usually survive very well because they run in a pack for a reason. So we get it kicked out of the pack. Our brain gets signaled, this is a threat to our survival. So think about a baby, right? As a baby, if someone didn't care about you enough to feed you, keep you warm, keep you safe, you wouldn't be here right now. And that, it doesn't matter. Your brain doesn't know the difference between that and like that person's making fun of you because you're wearing a bikini and they think you're too fat. Your brain just knows I'm being shut out. People are rejecting me. But think about, right from the very moment we're born, if other people don't take care of us, we won't survive. So it is wired into us to want to be accepted. And there's nothing wrong with that feeling. It's just part of being human. But it's just, again, to what level do you let it control you? Because we do have our frontal cortex. We do have our logical thinking brain. And, if you're capable of using that, which I know depending on your mental health and things like that, we're all different places on that spectrum, but that's the part where you can have some control. You can't control that you're wired to want to be able to be accepted and cared for and not rejected. But you can make a decision like, hey, is this really about my survival right now? Like if that person doesn't like the way I look, am I not going to be able to eat? Am I not going to have shelter? Am I not going to have protection? Most of the time, the answer has nothing to do. It's not a threat to your survival. But again, your brain is wired to think of it that way. But then you can ask yourself, does this really matter? Does it matter that someone thinks I'm too fat or I'm too old or I talk too fast or I talk too loud? Or is it really a threat to my survival? And of course, your logical brain can say, no, actually, it's not. It might hurt the ego a little to have someone say something like that about you, but it's not a threat to your survival. So please proceed forward with doing what you want to effing do. I'm here for you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. We're programmed to love, so to receive the opposite can be devastating. Exactly. Nobody wants to be rejected and turned away and thought of as the outcast. So it does hurt. And I don't see why we have to pretend that it doesn't. It's okay to say, yeah, it does hurt to feel rejected. But just because it hurts doesn't mean it has to run my life. Did it hurt the times, especially when I had an ex-boyfriend call me things like a wall of flesh because he thought I was too big? Yeah, that hurt. But am I going to let that comment for the rest of my life stop me from wearing the crop top or the bikini or putting myself out there? No, because fuck that. Sorry, but you don't get to win. You don't win. To me, that's what it comes down to. When someone tries to stop you from living your life, you're not hurting anyone. You're just wanting to wear a particular outfit, or you like to wear a lot of makeup or no makeup, or you want to shave your head, or you want to wear, 50 pounds of hair extensions. Someone's always got something to say. You could be the virgin or the whore. Someone's going to knock you for being a prude. Someone else is going to knock you for being a slut. You can't fucking win. So you might as well do what you want to do. If it's not truly a threat to your survival, proceed. Wear the freaking thing. Life is short. It ain't waiting for you to feel ready, right? And we don't want to let these bullies and these negative people dictate our lives and rob us of amazing opportunities. So, like, say, okay, if you get badly injured or you get sick, like really sick, and no one helps you, you may not survive. If people at the hospital say, no, sorry, we reject you. If no one's willing to drive you to the hospital or care for you while you're sick, like nobody's going to help you at all, you're bleeding and no one's going to stop that bleeding, you die. So of course it is wired into you to want people to help you, to accept you, to like you. It's not your fault that we care about rejection, and telling people just don't care. It's not always super helpful because generally deep down we do. We want to feel like we matter to others, but I will say you are being invited to just be brave, and bravery is not possible without some level of fear. That's what bravery is. It's feeling the fear and doing it anyway. That is literally the definition of bravery. For you to be brave, you have to be overcoming some level of, this is uncomfortable, this is a little scary, this is pushing my edge. But the more you do that, the more you trust yourself to be like, yes, I know it can be uncomfortable. I know someone might mock me, but I trust myself to show up, do the thing, and not let other people run my life. I show up a lot, and I know, some people like me and some people don't. Hey, what's my options? Either show up as I am and enjoy my life, or tuck myself away in some dark little corner so nobody sees me, and if they don't see me, they can't make fun of me. I refuse. I am going to live my life in the spotlight, and I'm going to speak on stages. I'm going to show up at platforms. I'm going to put myself out there till the day I die. And it's not always comfortable. But I've built my courage muscle quite a bit over the years because I keep showing up even when it is uncomfortable. And I'll say, the other thing is commitment, a commitment to courage. It's not a feeling, it's a commitment. Feelings come and go. You are committing to living the life that you want on your terms. My dog wants to sit up on the chair. She's probably going to knock it over and probably knock a bunch of stuff over too. Oh, here she comes. But the courage to say, yes, I'm going to do that thing. I am going to wear that thing. Come on. Okay. You happy? So it's a commitment to yourself. It's a commitment to show up in your own life while you still can. And it's just important that we band together. We have a strong collective where we don't tolerate bullying of any kind for anyone, for any reason, period. But that's up to all of us as a collective to make this community, to build a community around those people who maybe don't have the voice yet to speak up for themselves. I know when I was going through it, especially when I was young, what I would have given for someone to stand up for me. And nobody did. And that's probably why I'm so fiercely protective now, because I know what it's like to be in that position, to feel alone and to feel like nobody cares enough to try to help. And I never want someone to feel like that in my presence. Oh, I never thought about this as much as survival, but makes so much sense. But yeah, it does, right? And that's why I wanted to offer that to you, because a lot of people don't realize that. And then they can't understand, why can't I just stop caring what people think? It's like saying, I'm just going to stop breathing and survive anyway. It's just not wired into us to do that. It's not comments about my appearance that hurt me at this point in my life. It's more about people that say things to me regarding my political stances or my sexuality. I take those things more personal. The thing is, that's what I mean. If they're not making fun of your looks, they'll make fun of what you feel politically. If they're not doing that, they'll make fun of, like for me, I stay at home. My husband is the one who earns our income. Some people think I'm lazy. If they had a hidden camera in this house, they would know I work all damn day. I'm constantly doing something. But I get knocked for that, being told I'm lazy. I don't try, whatever. It's fine. And I get, it does sting a little sometimes. We do tend to internalize things sometimes. But just, ask yourself, who are these people? Do they really matter to you? That's my first question is is this someone I actually care about? Do I care about this person and have enough respect for them to care what they think about me? if one of my very good friends or my husband is telling me something that I don't find too flattering to hear about myself, I am going to take a lot more consideration, Jesus, into that than somebody I just don't care about, Oh my gosh, see how little she cares about any of this? She's like, I always just live my life on my terms. Because those things attack who I am and not what I look like. Yeah, absolutely. It does hurt, when you feel like it's a part of who you are. It's not just your surface appearance, but it's like at your core, your values are being attacked. But, again, you know why you have those political views. You know why you do what you do. And if you really stand behind it, don't let anybody sway you or knock you off your horse, I'll say this about bullies. They love nothing more than when they can get you worked up. Nothing more. That is the juice in their life, is to see you get all upset, is to see you shut down and not do the thing, is to see you come to whatever side they're on. Sit and spin. Ain't gonna happen. But that's what I'm saying. Like, babe, can we just find a comfortable position for both of us? Is that possible? She's 80 pounds and the chair's about this big, and between me and her, I'm not exactly tiny myself. It's a challenge. I've been told, I'm overly opinionated too, and that makes those people feel intimidated. Oh yeah, it absolutely does. God forbid someone, especially someone who doesn't present as a man, has an opinion. Oof, that's scary. Yeah, oh well, to hell with them. You obviously have that opinion for a reason. Knowing what I know about you, I don't think you take that kind of stuff lightly. I don't think you just make opinions just based off of the trend or, thin air. I think you really give a lot of thought to why you have chosen what you've chosen. And if other people don't like it, guess what? They can vote however they want to vote. It's their life to do that, and this is your life to do this. And I don't tolerate people trying to dictate my life. I've been told the same because I stay at home. They don't see my health issues. They don't see the work I do from home, make extra money, or the work I do on myself to help myself grow into the best version of myself. Exactly. I think people have this idea, like if you're a stay-at-home wife, you're just like some sitcom, like you just watch sitcoms all day with your feet up, eating bonbons, taking bubble baths, and taking naps. Okay, maybe if I lived in some other dimension, that might be the truth. Not even close. I do a lot of freaking work on here, like in this house, with these dogs, writing books, and trying to start a business and a brand. So, yeah, I don't get time to dick around. My time is very valuable and precious to me. The reason I'm here now sharing it with you is because I truly believe this is an important conversation that's worthy of my time. But my time is precious, and I don't just toss it to the wind. The thing is, I don't care. You think I'm lazy? Fuck it. I don't care. Like, I know who I am. That's the thing. It's finding out how many people or family you care about actually feel. Social media is so fucked for this, yes. But I also rather know than be ignorant. Exactly. I am close to some people who have different political views, but we have agreed to have enough respect for one another that we generally just don't talk about politics because there's no need. You feel this way, I feel this way, and literally no matter what you say, we're not going to switch. All it leads to is one person feeling like frustrated or not heard or whatever, and it's just not necessary. To me, if you respect me and I tell you, listen, this is a topic I just rather not talk about, or at the very least, if we discuss this topic, I need you to respect my opinion, which is different than yours. If you can't do that for me, you don't get to be in my world. Like I said at the beginning of this, respect is just a minimum. I don't put up with disrespect because I don't see the need to do that. I don't disrespect people, so why should I tolerate it? I don't, because we teach people how to treat us. Most people know with me, if you push, you're going to get a little pushback. I'm not going to go around starting anything, but I'm not a doormat. I received some government assistance and people have shame for that. Oh yeah. Well, you shouldn't. We have it for a reason. Yes, it's unfortunate. Some people take such, advantage of it to the point of abusing the system. But when people actually need it, that's what it's there for. It's a lot better than being the person who's robbing other people for the resources. And I mean that in the literal sense, like actually robbing like banks or houses. And then of course you got these corporate monsters basically who rob and rob and rob. They don't seem to feel any shame about it. They're the reason we are set up to not succeed in the first place. They want you to be on that level. You know, they're cutting out the middle class altogether. They're trying to make a world where it's like the people who've got the haves and the have-nots, basically, with no middle ground. That's a whole other conversation. But please don't ever feel ashamed about accepting assistance when you actually need it. That's literally why the system is there to begin with. I don't know if there's anything else. Yeah, I don't want a world where we make excuses and just keep complaining about the same shit and not doing anything about it. I want a world where we make change, you know, because that's what's going to like make impact. Complaining doesn't do a damn thing. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there. It's been, holy shit, almost 45 minutes. Oh my God. All right. I got to get out of here. So I hope this was helpful. If you want to check out those 4 songs, you know, let me know if you did listen to them and what you think. Let me know if you do share anything on your timeline around the topic of bullying. I would love to go check it out and support you. And also I invite you to do some free writing. Just take out that notebook or that voice recorder and just see, when I think of bullying, what comes up. And don't make anything wrong. And last but not least, take care of yourself. If this was triggering for you, if you feel heavy, if something comes up as you're writing, if your dog just won't leave you alone, I have incense burning, sorry, but just make sure that you're taking care of yourself, and especially through this work around this heavy topic. Like I said, it's trauma to triumph. So we are, in the end, going to be talking about more uplifting, inspiring things, but we got to start where we got to start. We got to start at the beginning. All right. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. And I hope you noticed I am getting quite bold and confident with my eyeliner. I didn't even poke my eyes out this time. All right. I'll talk to you on the next video tomorrow. You let me know if you want me to come back out live tomorrow. I will. Otherwise, I will just post a link to a TED Talks that I found very helpful. Thank you. I felt so bold. I was like, oh my God, look at me. Who am I? Like, just whipping this eyeliner around all like reckless and shit. Like I know what I'm doing. I'm surprised though. Usually I at least poke one eye and then the eye gets really red and it like streams, you know, and it's like, oh, that's not the look I wanted, you know? All right. Well, enough of my shenanigans. I will talk to you later. Let me know if you want me to go live tomorrow. Otherwise, tomorrow will just be kind of a rest day. I will just share a link you can check out and leave it there. I will talk to you later. Take care of yourself and keep this conversation going with your own community.